Hello everyone, thank you for tuning in. ChaCha here, and today I'm excited to give you my account overview and advise you how to be a half decent Gryphon trap. So we're going to jump straight into the talents, and for the talents it's fairly simple. We're going to be sticking to health and offense. So you get down to the bottom and you max out the squad healths along the way, and then you max out the bottom squad health, and then you max out all of the other offense, the big offense ones, and then you spread out the other points across the offense ones that are left. Make it as even as you can, but again, doesn't really matter. So cav and infantry is mainly my gear, as you can see. I've got a little bit of range in there, a little bit of army max HP as well, but mainly cav and inf, and you will find out why very shortly. So, onto the familiars. Obviously, you need a level 10 Homeward Bind. I've seen people doing the Gryphon trap with level 9 and level 8 Homeward Bind. Personally, I think it's a little bit cringy, a little bit sketchy. Get it level 10, then it's just 6 seconds. So another familiar that you could work on is the Mole Shaman. That gives you 50% of your wall repair every day. So that helps you look like you haven't been hit. For the Awakening Familiar department, I'm going for the Gold Goblin. That's because it increases my cavalry attack when 10% of my troops fall, and again, this is to do with my comp, and you will see why I chose him a little bit later. So, on to research. I've had a few people ask me about research. This really doesn't matter for me. I am working towards my 7th army, and then of course my 8th, but that's going to take a long time. I'm working towards this one because I'm closer out of the two, but having a 7th, 8th and 8th army is more of just a pleasure. It's not a need. I would love to have a 7th and 8th army, and I would have a lot more T4 and probably be able to take a lot more hits, but I'm okay with 6 for the moment, so I'm not rushing. So beds, please have as many beds as you can. You're going to take wounded. There's no way around this. So the more beds you've got, the more hits you can take, the more wounded you can take. So, wall, please, 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 and this is quite important, when you're putting your troops out, leave 5 gold heroes in your turf. If you don't, people will recognise that your heroes aren't in your turf, and they will know that you have hidden troops. This is really important for me. So, the grand reveal, the troop comp, here it is. I've got 1 million at my front line, I've got 650k, which is normally 700k, inf, which will sit either side of my cav. This is because I sit in cav wedge. Now you can have whatever you want at your front line. It's entirely up to you. I've chose cav because mainly people send inf. I've also chose cav because it was my highest stat, and yeah, people really do mainly send inf. I would say 70% of people send infantry. Maybe it's because it's the top one on the list. Maybe it's because it holds the most. Who knows? But it's just what people do. If I get countered with range, I can swap to infantry foul, and I can cap. I mean, I do keep a close eye on what people are sending. If there's anybody really fat sending range armies in gear, it can make me a little bit nervous. But I've never had any problems so far, and I've done some massive Gryphon pulls. I've never had anyone walk back so far, touch wood. So, as you can see, my stats are pretty mixed. The inf and the cav is dominant, and the range sit at the back, pinging arrows, looking pretty. So that's the gear, that's the kills. God, I'm cute. So, moving on. I think next I will be having a little bit of fun at the Baron. I haven't Gryphon trapped at Baron yet. I'm a little bit nervous, but I think it would go pretty well. So I'm going to give that a go next. I'll let you know how that goes. I'm also making another Gryphon trap out of a rally trap account, so I'll also keep you updated on that. I'm about halfway through, I'd say, but I'll let you have a sneak peek of that in not too long. So, some guys in my kingdom after KVK, they found me, and I was looking pretty with all my resource out. So I'm just clicking through here to check again what people's gear are, what might they are, all that jazz. And as you can see, they're all sending in speed gear, and this is why I tell people that gear really doesn't matter. It doesn't matter taking all these armies out of gear and with no leader, because none of them are really sending their leader, and if they are, they're sat in speed gear anyway, so what does it really matter? So I'm switching into my my war gear here. I'm already in my talents. I've got 23 armies coming at me or so. I hit the homeward bind, they come rushing home. Unfortunately here I do misclick and I click on the training icon instead of the unshelter on the left hand side there. So rather than risking another misclick, I jump into my base, I unshelter the old fashioned way, I random relocate the old fashioned way, and I eat all those armies at once. So I think I do flick through the reports here. Yep, so he got capped, 250k dead. And so like I said earlier, the beauty of the Gryphon trap is that you can have your own preference on what comp you think is best. I've gone for that comp. Full T4 hideable is a really big thing. I don't know why people have got T3 in their Gryphon trap comp. All that's going to do is lower your morale when you lose those troops. I don't think T3 is necessary. It's so much weaker than T4. Please just go max hideable T4. If you want 100k of each meat, choose T2. It works just as well, and it will move out of the way just as well. T3 just gets in the way, lowers your morale, and it'll get you hurt. I've seen some awful attempts of Gryphon traps with 500k of each T4 and like 300k of each T3. It's just not the way to do it. Please just hit an army 50% army boost and get max hideable T4. Buff up that front line as best as you can to take the brunt of the hit, and then you know that you've got your majority of the troops that are going to take the hit most of the time. So it's whatever troop that you choose to have at your front line. So I took 93.5k wounded T4 to kill about 5 million of theirs. I'll take that any day. So this clip is special not only because that DON guild is in it that I previously featured in this very video. It's one of my biggest pulls, and I think it really gives you a good example of the faith I have in my troop comp and just how confident I am to do these big pulls. I think most people thought the maximum a Gryphon pool could really do was cap a couple of people, maybe 20, 30 armies if you're insane, and that's really the most they can do. I've tried to take it to the next level. I've tried to think outside of the box. There's really no need for any meat. The only reason you need a tiny little bit of T2 meat is to perhaps take a minuscule amount of the wounded, but mainly for me it's to protect you from the familiar attacks that come in from when people are salty that you've just killed God knows how much of their T4 and completely rearrange their comp. So the familiar attacks do come in strong, and having the tiny bit of T2 meat for me is a way of making sure that they're only killing the T2. So here you can see I'm tracking this guy. This is the guy that I'm aiming for. I'm letting him be the marker. I'm using that first army as a marker. When that gets to a point where 15 seconds or so, I start doing my protocols. I start changing the gear, changing the talents, and bringing those troops on home. So I've given myself good time in this one, given myself 20 seconds, so I'm changing the gear, I've already got the talents going, the troops come home, I'm pulling out the leader for this one because there's so many. I've given it a couple of extra seconds because at this point there's so many arrows coming in at me, I doubt they can even see. And as you can see, they were still sending as I was flicking through and doing my protocols, so it's crazy. I probably ate about 60 plus armies there. And this is a really good example because I show you how much wounded I get, and I believe it's only about 270,000. 280k wounded T4s, so quite a hefty healing bill, but definitely worth it for the 14 million kills in one Gryphon pool and all those juicy points for KVK. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please give me a like and subscribe, share around. I hope you found it useful. If you've got any questions, I'll leave my line down below, and thanks again for watching.